A little over 30 years ago, I saw my first mech anime while at a family reunion in Florida, and it did something to my young brain. I have been locked into the genre ever since. Gundam pulled me in, and I've been chasing that feeling through games like Zone of the Ender, Armored Core, Front Mission, and the outstanding Phantom Brigade, which scratches the turn-based itch in a way few others have, but this is the action game I've been looking for. Mecha Break hits fast. The movement is fluid, the combat is tight, and the classes are more than just loadouts, they shape how you think. I've spent most of my time as a support unit, and it's more intense than most other shooters' frontline roles. You have snipers that play completely different based on their weight class. You have transforming jets that do strafing runs and bombing missions with high-speed precision, and brawlers that get in close and cause chaos. Every mech I've tried feels distinct, and even within classes, there are subclass roles that matter. And what really surprised me was how responsive the whole system feels. I've played a whole lot of mech games that feel like they were made decades too late. Clunky, slow, visually cool, but sluggish. Not here. In Mecha Break, I've fought 3 enemies in a row while weaving between targets, and it never once felt stiff. And it rewards objective play. On most maps, fighting for the point wins the map. Not chasing kills, it's skill-based, team-focused, and way more dynamic than I expected. Now, I, like most people, had early concerns about monetization. Unlocking mechs, upgrade systems, and potential loot box traps, it could have gone sideways. But they did a smart thing. Most mechs are already unlocked, new ones come with a full week trial, so you can get a real feel for the unit before deciding to invest. And most upgrades and unlock are separated from the main PvP mode. Mods, for example, are only used in the PvPVE mode, which is a huge relief in the balance aspect for the more competitive parts of the game. The match modes vary wildly. The 6v6 feels like a battlefield, constant movement, controlling zones, skirmishes everywhere. But the 3v3, now that's a knife fight in a phone booth. It's intense, every decision matters, and supporting mechs in particular feel crucial. I've never seen a healer get MVP, and that might discourage some players, but in those 3v3s, they're often the reason you win. So that's the 1,000-foot view, but there's a lot more going on under the hood. Let's dive deeper into how each class plays, and what the PVEVP adds, and where Mecha Break could still evolve. One of Mecha Break's biggest strengths is how distinct each role and even each sub-role feels in combat. Support is divided between high mobility healers and heavy anchors. Snipers split between stealthy executioners and lane breaking artillery. Aerial units, they don't just float and shoot, they're flying, strafing, bombing, transforming mid-air, one chasing prey, the other wiping out clusters of guys. Brawlers range from bruisers to assassins to control freaks like Panther, and defenders flip the tempo, holding zones with turrets, shield, and suppression fire. Even with all of those roles, Mecha Break still needs a stronger hook to keep players coming back. Right now, matches are intense and rewarding, but there's not much tying them together. Whether that's a meaningful progression system or an overarching campaign, like maps in For Honor, the game needs something that makes your effort feel like it matters beyond just the scoreboard. See, now that kind of system could solve other problems, like encouraging players to try underrepresented roles, such as support, by rewarding team play over flashy solo plays. So I've been struggling the whole video to say this one. The PVEVP mode, the player versus environment versus player mode, is Mecha Break's wildcard mode. And I'll admit, it didn't grab me at first. The objective structure was unclear, I wasn't sure when the enemy players would show up, and half my team just seemed lost. And after giving it more time, I started to see the appeal. If you ever wanted to feel that power fantasy moment from, like, Gundam, dropping into a battlefield and just mowing through waves of enemy in your souped up mech, it hits like that. And that's where the other players come in. They are the boss fights, in that they are the challenge spikes. They're doing the same thing you're doing, but then the game is really on, and it adds some real tension to the rampage. One match, I was deep in a kill streak and got blindsided by a sniper from another squad. It felt fair, it felt cinematic, and it opened the door to a comeback that we almost pulled off. That said, the mode still needs polish. Objective clarity, better communication around when players drop in. I wasn't sure if they dropped in every time you could evacuate, or if we all started at the same time. Like, I didn't know if it continually just rolling as a PvP experience, and you got knocked out and they just kept a server going and dropped in new people every 3 minutes or so, or you all started on the same map. It wasn't clearly explained. It is growing on me, but it's not quite locked in yet. Mecha Break might be the closest thing I've come to my dream mech game. It's fast without being shallow, stylish without being clunky, and flexible enough to let you play how you want. There's room to grow, especially in player retention systems and the PVPVE clarity, but what's here already hits hard. Alright pilots, trigger a feedback loop by smashing that like button if you've ever locked in a multi-kill streak in a mech, subscribe to my hangar full of knights, and drop a purple and green heart in the comments to request a backup on your next deployment. Thank you, and as always, it's what we do.